Welcome back or welcome to Morbid Asia, the podcast where I explore Asia's most chilling legends, haunted places, and unsolved mysteries. I'm your host Park, and tonight we're traveling deep into the windswept steppes of Kazakhstan, where nomads once feared a creature said to stalk lonely roads, abandoned camps, and women during childbirth, a creature known as the Albasti. For centuries, the figure has appeared throughout Kazakh, Turkic, and Central Asian folklore. Some describe her as a demon, others believe she is an evil spirit, and in older stories, people genuinely believed encounters with her could end in sickness. Though descriptions vary depending on the region, based on the legend, Albasti appears as a woman. Some stories portray her as a horrifying and disfigured, with unnaturally long arms and eyes that seem almost animal-like. But others say she can appear beautiful at first glance, only slowly revealing her true form when it's too late. However, almost every version of the legend shares one disturbing detail: her hair, always long, dark, and wild. In many Cossack legends, the hair itself is believed to contain her power. Some tales claim that if someone manages to cut it off, Albasti loses all her supernatural abilities completely. But getting close enough to do that, almost nobody survives long enough to try. Traditionally, Albasti was said to target vulnerable people, travelers alone in the steppe, shepherds sleeping beside their animals, and most famously, women who had recently given birth. Old Central Asian folklore describes Albasti sneaking into homes at night while families slept. Some believe she sat on a chest of sleeping victims, making it impossible for them to breathe. Others claim she attempted to steal the soul or lungs of a mother after childbirth. That detail becomes even more unsettling when you realize that what the legends were describing are just people trying to explain sleep paralysis, postpartum complications, or sudden nighttime death, long before modern medicine existed. But to the people living in isolated villages centuries ago, these weren't medical mysteries, they were signs that Albasti had visited. One of the most disturbing legends surrounding Albasti comes from an old Cossack village story, passed down for generations. According to the tale, a young mother had recently given birth to her first child. For several nights she complained about strange sounds inside the house after midnight. Footsteps, whispering, and a feeling that someone was standing beside her bed watching her sleep. At first, the family dismissed it as exhaustion from childbirth, but then the baby began crying every night at exactly the same hour, and each night the crying sounded weaker. The grandmother became convinced that something evil had entered the home. So before sunset, she placed iron tools near the cradle and recited prayers believed to protect newborns from spirits like Albasti. For a while, the house remained quiet, until one night, the mother woke suddenly to complete silence. No wind outside, no insects, nothing. Then slowly, she heard heavy breathing coming from beside the cradle. She turned towards it and saw a woman crouched beside her child. Her hair dragged across the floor like black threads. Her arms looked unnaturally long, and according to the story, her fingers ended in claw-like nails darkened with blood. At first, the mother couldn't move. The figure slowly lifted the baby into its arm, and then it smiled, its teeth stained bright red. The mother screamed, waking the rest of the family. The creature reportedly let out an animal-like shriek before fleeing into the darkness beyond the village. However, it was too late. The child was already dead. By morning, villagers claimed strange footsteps circled the outside of the house before disappearing into the open steppe. And from that day forward, families in the area refused to leave newborn children unattended after sunset. because they believe Al-Basti wandered most freely at night, searching for homes where prayers had gone silent. What makes the Al-Basti legend especially interesting is how widespread it became across Central Asia. Versions of her appear not only in Kazakhstan, but also in Tatar, Uzbek, and other Turkic folklore. Sometimes she's portrayed as monstrous, other times seductive, and in some stories she resembles something closer to a vampire-like spirit. Interestingly, many historians and researchers believe the Al-Basti myth may be connected to ancient fears surrounding motherhood and childbirth. In the past, childbirth was extremely dangerous. Complications, infections, and some death were tragically common, so communities created protective rituals to keep evil spirits away from mothers and newborns. Some families placed iron objects near beds, others stayed awake through the night reciting prayers. And in certain regions, people believe leaving a mother alone after childbirth could invite Al-Basti into the home. It's fascinating how folklore often grows around things humans fear most deeply: death, illness, and of the unknown. But even today, stories about Al-Basti haven't completely disappeared. In rural parts of Central Asia, there are still people who claim they have seen strange women wandering alone, isolated at night. Others speak about waking up unable to move while feeling pressure crushing their chest. And of course, as mentioned before, in modern times, these explanations could be written off as a sleep paralysis, or that human brains are capable of imagining and filling in the blanks of the unknown. Because after all, logics and evidence-based studies could easily explain these experiences, but it doesn't erase the fear. So what exactly was the Al-Basti? A demon feared across the steppes for centuries, a cultural explanation for illnesses and sleep paralysis, or simply a legend powerful enough to survive generations after generations? I'll leave that up to you. But one thing is certain: the empty plains of Kazakhstan have always inspired stories, and when the wind moves across the steppe at night, it's easy to understand why people once believed something might be out there, watching them from the darkness, waiting to strike. Thank you so much for listening to Morbid Asia. If you find yourself in a position where your loved ones had recently given birth, and you hear them complain about seeing or hearing weird things at night, maybe don't leave them alone, and try and get them help as soon as you can before it's too late. Until next time, stay safe and stay curious.